Okay, recording. Okay, it takes a few seconds for it to initialize. Welcome, everybody. This is episode 3 of The World is a Mess. The World is a Mess, and I just want to steampunk it. With your host, Steampunk Starraisin, and my guest, Daniel from Daniel's Hot Topics. I don't know why I'm having a hard time talking today. Anyway, so how's it going, Daniel?
I'm good. I'm good, Steampunk. It's Monday, August 3rd, 2020, 4:14 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right now, and yeah, it's going pretty good.
Awesome. So you had some news about Orville being canceled.
Yeah, I just found out that the Orville has been canceled. Yeah, it's I don't know. I just found it yesterday, and yeah, it
Well,
hasn't even.
it's really bizarre because they went over from TV to Hulu, and they were supposed to have a new life in Hulu, and they haven't even finished filming or releasing season 3 yet, right? And
Right.
they've already canceled it before it even got shown on Hulu, which doesn't make any sense. You would think they would cancel it based on views or lack of views or ratings or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, with streaming services, we don't really get to see what the ratings are because they're usually not publicly disclosed. Like Netflix doesn't publicly disclose its ratings. I don't think Hulu does either. Hulu is mostly owned by Disney. It's kind of weird. Like Disney's got 2 streaming services. They've got, I mean, technically Hulu is a separate company, but Disney has controlling interest in Hulu. That's the reason why a lot of Disney's content is on Hulu. And then you have the Disney Plus, which is weird. It's like Disney's competing with itself.
Yeah.
So you don't know why it got canceled?
No, I don't know why.
I'm looking here at this article here. And this is from cinemaspot.com. It says exclusive Hulu or the Orville canceled at Hulu. Season 3 becomes final outing for Seth MacFarlane sci-fi series. Unfortunate news. Blah blah blah. 21st century. Let's see. They don't say why though. They just say
No.
they have inside sources. I have a feeling it has to do with the coronavirus. Because
Oh yeah.
all TV and Hollywood production is suspended right now indefinitely.
Yeah.
And everything is so chaotic in the United States that there's really nothing being produced this year. They've even delayed Black Widow till next year.
Like, well, they haven't delayed what's it called? They haven't delayed Eternals.
Well, they probably will if they delayed Black Widow. Well, I'm seeing here the release date is still saying November 6, 2020.
Oh.
I heard rumors that they were going to delay it till next year. See. Maybe I was wrong. It's saying here Doctor Strange and Universe of Madness will be November 5th. Yeah. So what else is on your mind, Daniel? What's going on?
It says right here the MCU returns to work. Like MCU gets back to work. Marvel Shang-Chi set photos breakdown. So I think they started. Yeah, they started work. We talked about this. They started work on Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi, and that's supposed to be like the son of the Mandarin.
Yeah, I never heard of him before.
I never heard of that. He's a minor character in the Marvel comics. I never heard of him. I really didn't like what they did with the Mandarin in Iron Man 3. They made him like a pretend villain actor. That was really cheesy. That was really, really bad.
Yeah, they got Sir Ben Kingsley in it as the Mandarin. You know, there were rumors that Sir Ben Kingsley would have been the Vulture for Spider-Man 4. Did you hear that? Back in the day?
I didn't hear that. I don't know who that is. Who is that actor? What's
Oh,
he?
he's just a British actor. He's a really, I've seen him around. He's a really cool actor. He's like the Mandarin. Like he was the Mandarin in Spider-Man, or like the fake Mandarin. In Iron
Yeah,
Man 3.
that was just cheesy. That was just
Like
cheesy.
I think his name was Trevor. His name was Trevor.
Well, I don't know. I mean, with AMC movie theater declaring bankruptcy, and there's another movie theater chain. See, interesting. But yeah, I know like here in California, they've shut down all movie theaters again because of rising death rate of the coronavirus. Um, things have been pretty grim here in the United States because not only are we dealing with the coronavirus, we're dealing with systemic economic collapse. This is the worst economic depression that we've had in the United States ever. I mean, it's going to be even worse than the Great Depression because you're talking about 40 million Americans are going to be homeless because they didn't do rent extension. They've canceled rent extension, and they've canceled the enhanced unemployment benefits. So you have Republicans who are proposing they only want to do $200 a week unemployment benefits, which is not going to prevent people from being homeless because, like here in LA, the average cost of rent's like $1,600 a month. Wages are high, our wages are low, and rents are high, and all it takes is just one little thing to push down the whole house of cards, and it's going to implode. People think that the George Floyd protests were bad with rioting and looting. Just wait until 40 million Americans hit the streets, and then it's going to be impossible to quarantine. Yeah, we're in a systemic mess. Um, my new favorite nickname for Donald Trump is 9/11 times 52. But of course, that number is going to keep going up. Why
Mm-hmm.
9/11 times 52? Because we now have 157,000 deaths that were totally preventable. But Trump cut funding to the CDC. He's been yanking testing because he thinks that testing only hurts him politically, and so he's like, "Let's send the kids with the sniffles, and we just, it makes us look bad to have so much testing." And he's just so full of crap. He's so full of himself. But yeah, it's I don't know. There's so much uncertainty. There's too many variables to predict. But I know that it's not good when you have 40 million Americans that are about to be homeless. I mean, we're not even dealing properly with the homeless problem we have now. But Canada is doing a lot better than um, United States is. I know Canada has closed off its border with the United States. So even if things got so bad and I wanted to like go to Canada, I wouldn't be able to because they closed the border. So we've been pretty much here in the United States. We've been isolated from the entire world. Um, there's even a travel ban to Europe set up by the EU. Um, so what do you have? What's your opinion on the coronavirus, the quarantine, and President Trump and all that, Daniel?
Yeah, I think it all sucks, and like we were talking about this, like it may come back, right? There's going to be a second wave.
Well,
It's going to
no,
be
I mean it
worse.
hasn't gone away. You say it may come back.
I mean,
Now,
it may come back worse.
Canada's done a lot better job at handling because you're in Ontario. What city are you in Ontario?
Uh, I live in the country.
What town do you live in? You don't want to say
I live in Bellwood.
Bellwood. Okay, because it's not like they're gonna track you down in Bellwood. But anyway, so and I don't have a very big audience yet anyway. There's only a handful of people that actually listen to the podcast. I have maybe 20 people that watch every video I do. Sometimes I get thousands of views on some of my videos, and then some of my videos only get like 20 views. But yeah, Canada's handled it a lot better. Total deaths in Canada from coronavirus last I checked was about 4,000. And you could argue, well, Canada's got like only 1/10 the population of the United States, and that would be true. Roughly about 1/10. But even if you multiply that by 10, that would be the equivalent of 40,000 deaths. But yeah, per capita, Canada's doing a lot better. Their healthcare system's a lot better. This We've been really neglecting our economy in the United States for a long time. Our healthcare has hyperinflation. Procedures, a lot of times you can't even get your insurance to cover stuff, even though you're paying for insurance. Um, it's kind of like a medical lottery. You're like, will I get medical coverage today? I don't know. Will they approve me today? I don't know. And so this virus has exposed weakness in the United States healthcare system and the weakness in the economy. We've been destroying labor and jobs in this country in the United States for about 40 years. I mean, the last time I went to Toronto, well, the first and only time I went to Toronto, which was in 2012, I noticed a stark difference between the United States and Canada. Like, you don't have the level of poverty in Canada like you do here in the United States. Yes, there are homeless people in Toronto, but it's not like here in LA where you have like whole families living on the street. Toronto, the few homeless people that I encountered were like alcoholic drunks. That's not to say that there's not other kinds of homeless, but it was just a notable, discernible, less infrastructure decay. Here we got roads falling apart, bridges falling apart, but there's less infrastructure decay in Canada. Everything seems cleaner, better maintained. There's less poverty. I mean, it's not ideal. Canada's far from ideal, but the United States is significantly worse as far as standard of living in Canada. From my observation of the two times I've been to Canada, I've been to Calgary and I've been to Toronto. There's been to, Ontario and Alberta. Those are the only two provinces that I've been to.
Have you ever been to Toronto Comic Con?
I have. It's on my YouTube channel. I went to Toronto Comic Con in 2012 and I had a lot of fun. I wish I had better planned it. I remember there was these two hot girls who invited me to go to a party and they gave me like a special wristband and they were like, "Oh, we would really like you to come." And I was so jet lagged, I was exhausted. It was a 2-day convention. I was so exhausted. I ended up sleeping in the hotel. I stayed at the Bon Hotel. I thought that was a cool name. The Bon Hotel, which is a few miles, I think it's like 3 miles or it's a few kilometers from the probably like, I don't know, probably like 5 or 6 kilometers from the convention center. And I took a taxi. But when I stayed at the Bond Hotel, it was a nice hotel. It reminded me of like James Bond, Secret Agent or something.
Was it
And
like a James Bond themed hotel? Like,
it wasn't a James Bond themed hotel. I think it was just a person's last name, Bond. That I don't know. I'll have to research it. It was just called the Bond Hotel. It was a very like an economy hotel, but it was very clean. It was very nice. It was a nice hotel. It was an economy but nice hotel. I like the Bond Hotel in Toronto. Toronto kind of reminded me of a little bit of Sydney, Australia, mixed with London, mixed with like New York City. I've been to London and I've been to Sydney, but I've never been to New York City. But of course, I've seen pictures because they have an area in downtown Toronto that's kind of like Times Square. They got all these billboards, on display, advertising movies or advertising different brands. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. Toronto Comic Con. I'm surprised you never went. You should.
No, not yet.
You need to save up some money and take a bus down there, but I don't know if they're having Toronto Comic Con anymore because of the virus.
Mm-hmm.
Is everything still closed down there where you live?
Yeah, yeah. Most things are still closed down.
Okay,
Only
same.
essential stuff like Walmart's and food stores and stuff like that.
Well, it is what it is. Any other, I always, because the name of this podcast is the world is a mess, and I just want to steampunk it. And so I always have to talk about the state of the world, because that's the theme for this podcast. It's a little different than my regular YouTube channel, although I do post video format of this podcast on my YouTube channel, and then the audio, of course, goes to iTunes. But I'm still learning the podcast game now. I got to try to figure out how to properly promote it so that I can build up an audience, because I can actually do commercials, sponsorships, or I can monetize my podcast if I have enough views. But right now I don't have enough views. But anyway, but maybe one day. Right now, I just need to build an audience. I'm not, as far as the, monetization, that can wait. But yeah. So, anything else on your mind, Daniel, you wanted to talk about today?
Well, hold on, I gotta think. Yeah. So yeah, the world is a mess, man. I mean, we were talking about it last time. We were just talking about it right now too. Like the homeless the homeless situation is gonna go up, and it is sad, and we're gonna get riots and probably a
Well,
revolution.
we have a real problem in the United States. I mean, the government does not represent the people. That's pretty apparent, because when it comes to extending unemployment benefits, your, freaking Senate went on vacation, or Congress went on vacation. Why there's a crisis, a housing crisis. There's a job, economic crisis going on. There's an economic and a housing crisis in this country that's been neglected for decades, been progressively getting worse. And they were like, oh, we'll go on vacation. We can't come to an agreement. But when it comes to Trump signing an executive order, he gave away $4 trillion. He signed an executive order. He's got the federal government and the Treasury. They have $4 trillion to buy toxic bonds from Wall Street firms. And so these bonds, when the rental market completely collapses by the end of the year, it's predicted by December, these bonds are going to be worthless. So poof, there goes $4 trillion for nothing. That could have paid off all the student loan debt. That could have did a UBI until we got past this virus. That could have got all the homeless off the street. It could have done all three of those things, but instead, no, we got to give it to Wall Street. We just got a circle jerk. $4 trillion, and then they did $2 trillion stimulus, and they bailed out the airlines, which really made me mad, because these airlines are being greedy. Like, I was supposed to go to DragonCon this year, but they canceled DragonCon, and so I canceled my airplane ticket, and I was informed that Delta will not give me a refund. And this is despite the fact that they actually get federal funding every year to stay in business, and they got economic stimulus money. And why are they being so greedy and not giving people a refund on their airplane tickets? And so they gave me a voucher that's going to like expire in May or something, which is completely worthless. But yeah, people need to speak out about that. Maybe write their congressman, and I intend to, because that really makes me angry at Delta Airlines uh, not giving a refund. It's not like, oh, I was irresponsible. I mean, Dragon Con, as recently as the beginning of June, I was told by the press coordinator at Dragon Con, this is the guy that handles all the press, uh, who told me that they were still having the convention, and then a month later, they were canceled. And I was
Hmm.
wondering why I hadn't got my press credentials, but yeah, I'm out $290. But yeah, and so you hear in the United States they gave out a $1,200 stimulus check, but that doesn't last forever. And for most people who are not in rent-controlled housing, that's not going to really help them out very much. Um, but so we're in dire trouble here in the United States. I've never seen it this bad. But I warned people about Trump back in 2016. A whole YouTube video. It only got a few thousand views, and I got attacked by a few people. But people need to learn the scientific method and have critical thinking skills. They need to be critical of themselves as well as other people. They need to not jump to conclusions, assumptions. But we got half this country in America completely bat crazy insane. It just like you can't convince them of the truth, even if you took them in a time machine and traveled back in time and showed them, they would still not believe.
Hmm.
The Republican Party has largely become a death cult. The Republican Party's idea for retirement is for the average American is drop dead healthcare plan or drop dead retirement, dead healthcare plan. You need to get healthcare, just drop dead. You need to retire, just work until you drop dead.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I hate this world. I mean,
it's
it's
gotten really really bad. I mean, it was bad before. Okay, the economy in the United States has been consistently bad since 2008. I don't care what they say. They always try to do corporate propaganda where they say that, oh, the economy's doing the best it's ever been because when Trump first became president, he was bragging that the unemployment rate was 3%. No, it was actually much higher than that. You know, basically, um, people who are on, like, I'm on disability, but people who are like on disability are counted as employed. If you don't qualify for unemployment benefits, you're counted as employed. And even when you had a job, or if you were lucky enough to have a job, it was a crap job that didn't pay very well. That abuses, most of these corporations under the corporatocracy, because here in the United States we live under a corporatocracy. The poor vote doesn't count worth a damn compared to the moneyed vote. Hence, most people support Medicare for all in the United States. Most people support cutting military spending, but we increase military spending. We spend $1 trillion a year. I know the official military budget in the United States is about 700 billion, but that doesn't include Black Ops budget. But yeah, we live in a corporatocracy. That's government ruled by corporations. And that's the reason why, and you have also strong de facto law in the United States. What is de facto law? Well, de facto law is the way the law is actually carried out, not the way it is written on the books. And so we have a two-tier system where we treat people who are super wealthy and super powerful celebrities one way, but then we treat everybody else another way. And it is systemically inhumane and unjust. That's why I support Black Lives Matter, because I have had run-ins with the police, and I've been abused. I've been assaulted by LAPD. I've been assaulted uh, and had police abuse their powers. They power trip. There is a systemic problem with police culture in the United States, and we do not treat police officers the same as regular people. We give them privileges of power, and even when they do commit a crime, they often go uncharged because they're police officers. So it's almost like you got a tiered class system. You got like the super poor at the bottom, and then you have like police officers and soldiers in the middle, and then you have at the very top like executives and CEOs and celebrities. And so you know, like or wealth. You have the very wealthy executives and CEOs, and so if the celebrity is poor, then they are less likely to give a shit about them. Because I have read stories about celebrities that have become homeless when their career plummeted, and they don't really give a shit. Once you become have no money vote, you really don't have any representation. And that's the reason why, like, hey, Congress is on vacation. What the hell? It's not that big of a deal. Unemployment benefits expired. 40 million Americans are going to become homeless. Rent extension expired. Screw them. But yeah, it's really bad. You're lucky to be in Canada, Daniel. You really are.
Well, it's a little bit better here, but like not by much. I mean, like you said, like me too. I've run into the police too, and they've been very rude to me, and they don't apologize. They just bully you. They rip you to pieces. They threaten you, and they don't apologize. They just run away. Ha ha! I bullied the nerd. You can't do nothing back because you know what? The moment you return the favor, you know what happens?
I mean, I'm assuming they could kill you. Yeah.
They could kill you. They could either kill you or throw you in jail.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's mostly most people who become cops were high school bullies. And they were like, what can I do to bully people as an adult? Oh, I know. I'll become a cop. I'll have a badge and a gun, and I can fuck with people. I can screw with people. And pardon me, I'm trying not to use language because then that could end up censoring my videos and my podcast. But I slipped up there. But yeah, they like to mess with people,
And
and
they don't apologize. They don't
they
apologize.
get off on it. They get off
Yeah,
on it. They act, and I'm sure police culture in Canada is very similar to police culture in the United States, and I think we need to radically change the way we approach policing. Maybe there needs to be maybe there needs to be like civilian oversight, but not only a civilian board and oversight, but maybe policing needs to be a group effort where there are no police officers; they're just civilians,
yeah,
and if you have witnesses and you have the authority, then you can just do a citizen's arrest.
exactly. It's like Kirk says, power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely,
But
right?
when you create a privileged class, what I call a blue man group, they just view themselves as their blue man gang, blue man group versus everybody else, and they're not really there to help you. They're there to meet their arrest quota. They're there to get off on their power trip, whatever it takes.
Like, well, okay, like steampunk. What would you do? Like, let's say you were me, and you ran into the same thing I did, and you heard cops like bully you and tell you you're gonna die alone and get lost, and we're gonna throw you in jail. Shut up, stop.
Well,
What would you say?
you're referring to your personal experience that happened to you.
Yeah, like, what would you do if you were me?
Well, I mean, I've had run-ins with the police before, and usually you have to just bite your tongue. But I remember one time I was sleeping at LAX, and I had police officers ready to draw the gun on me, and then I had my ID in a bag, and it was cold at the airport, and I was sleeping with a little blanket, and I had my ID in a bag, and they were ready to draw their guns on me, and they almost drew their gun on me to shoot me because they were so scared of me sleeping at the airport. But that's a long story. I don't really feel like getting into the full story, but yeah, that's the gist of it. It's dangerous encountering police because they often just view you as enemy, and they will just shoot first and ask questions later. And
Yeah,
these no knock warrants that they do in the United States are unconstitutional. But hey, who's enforcing the Constitution? No one. And so, no knock warrants, it's just that's very insidious where You just go in, guns blazing, shooting people like Breonna Taylor. They did a no-knock warrant. They got a bad tip that supposedly they were dealing drugs, but that ended up not being true, and they ended up murdering somebody with a no-knock warrant. And because the boyfriend thought there was a home invasion, he actually called 911 and he fired one shot. And so the police retaliated by just firing endless number of shots, and they ended up killing his girlfriend, Breonna Taylor. And you know, that's it used to be, you look at, like, cops. It used to be like, freeze, drop your weapon. They don't even do that anymore. They just walk up to people and just shoot them, and they don't even bother to identify themselves. They just shoot first, ask questions later, and that's just a very hostile work environment that we've created with regards to police officers. And the training is so aggressive and so militarized. They've got like heavy armored cars that were originally used in Iraq. They get a lot of the military weapons, grenade launchers, assault rifles, Black Hawk helicopters. Uh, we need, as a society, we need to take their toys away. We need to defund the police, take their toys away, and I think that we need to switch to civilian policing, where we're all equal. We don't have a special blue uniform, special status. We need to have civilian policing, and we need to teach everybody in critical thinking and a scientific method. If it is somebody who is mentally distraught or mentally ill, like somebody that's schizophrenic, that's creating a disturbance, then we need to bring back sanitariums, and we need to bring back healthcare professionals, increase funding to that, so that those people have a place to go, not jail, or they're not going to get helped anyway.
Yeah.
Um, but unfortunately, we live in a very cruel world that values profits above that of human lives. Human lives are not
Exactly.
worth anything
And it's
in a
getting worse and
capitalist
worse, bro.
society.
It's getting
We
worse
need
and
we need
worse.
to switch to a mixed market system where we have a mixed market system, but it's out of balance. We need a balanced mixed market system where you have social infrastructure, where we don't allow people to go homeless, we don't allow people to go totally broke or poor. Um, and with technology, it's making work kind of almost optional anyway.
Hmm.
But we need to pool our resources together instead of being counterproductive, because when you know have a healthcare system that places the value of profits above that of human lives, then it's no longer effective in its goal of saving lives. Hence, that's why we got 157,000 deaths. Probably by the end of the year, it'll be up to 250,000, and I don't know how many. I think now the estimate is maybe 2 million people will die by the time the pandemic is over with, and maybe in a couple of years we will have had herd immunity. But yeah,
Yeah.
everything is so screwed up. Oh, I also wanted to talk about Marilyn Manson released a new song this week, a few days ago. He released this song called "We Are Chaos." It is an awesome song. I recommend everybody, the few people who listen to me here on YouTube or also on my podcast, to check out the music video. The music video is kind of edgy and creepy. Got a little, it's an interesting animation. He does like old school animation, and it's a pretty powerful song. I would say it's like the theme song to the pandemic, because we're definitely here in the United States, we're making things worse. We have more deaths from coronavirus than any other country in the world. Um, Worldwide deaths, I think, are up to 647,000. Of course, domestically in the United States, it's 157,000. I think Canada is around 4,000. China, I think, had about 2,000 deaths, but China got it under control. But yeah, everything's screwed up. I don't know where it's going to go from here, man. I just take it one day at a time. I'm going to be okay today. That's all I worry about. I don't know what's going to happen 6 months from now or even a year from now. Trump's only been president, for a little over 3.5 years, and it feels like he's been president for 30 years because he's always doing something new. He's always saying something snide, and he's just, it's all about him and his narcissism, and he's always being cold and callous, and he always does the opposite of what he's supposed to do as a president. And he's shown no direction, no leadership. There's been no reimbursement or funding to the states. So you got like the mayor of LA actually doing a hiring freeze for city workers because the tax revenues are dried up. So things are just, now they're switching to austerity measures here in LA. And here in Los Angeles, you have an effective unemployment rate of about 50%. Yeah, things are really, really bad. Um, but if I didn't have disability and rent controlled housing, I would be on the streets. But I'm fortunate I have this apartment. But anyway,
Yeah, I mean,
anything
like,
else to add, Daniel? I'm about to wrap up in a few minutes.
yeah, I wanted to say, like, yeah, like going back to that subject, like, like they're really corrupt. I mean, even my family tell me I gotta be careful because you know what? If you say something, like if they attack you when you attack them back with words, they can shoot you in the back and they can say it was an accident.
Well, yeah, they can say it was an accident, or they can say that you were aggressive and they feared for their lives. When it comes to law enforcement, the courts usually side with law enforcement. They're very buddy buddy with them.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just
it's
crap.
we've created, a class of people in the middle, and they get privileges because they're wear their uniform. They can lose that privilege, but it's very hard for them to lose that privilege because of police unions. Um, there needs to be more civilian oversight. And like I said, I believe in a new system where you don't have police officers. You just have, if other civilians see somebody, if other citizens see a crime being committed, then they should be able to do a citizen's arrest.
Hmm.
And if we still continue to have a police force, it needs to be greatly reduced. They need to do away with Homeland Security. Oh yeah, that's another thing I wanted to talk about real quick. I got about 6 more minutes left because I'm trying to keep this down to a half hour. But yeah, Trump has got his secret police, Homeland Security. This is another reason why George W. Bush is the worst president of all time. He Republicans always like to brag that they like small government, but it's a lie. They're very modern. Most of the Republicans are very authoritarian in nature. They don't mind expanding government as long as it's an agency that enforces their authoritarian nature, like Homeland Security. So Trump is, been going to Portland. It's been a while since I did a podcast, so I need to start doing these on a weekly basis. So a lot of catching up to do. But yeah, Trump for the last couple of weeks or so has been sending border patrol agents and Homeland Security agents dressed up in fatigues, kidnapping people off the street in unmarked vans, and it's just creepy. And then there was a report of about 12 people who were arrested and released, and they had to agree not to go to a protest. And this is very, very unconstitutional. It violates the First Amendment of the Constitution, which is freedom of assembly and freedom of the press. And yeah, I mean, this is fascism. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, nobody should be surprised that Trump is a fascist. This is not hyperbolic. I mean, the guy literally quotes Mussolini on his Twitter. He retweets neo Nazis literally on his Twitter. And so, should you be surprised that he's sending Homeland Security to arrest people without any probable cause? No, we
Hmm.
shouldn't be surprised, but we need to resist it. And Homeland Security needs to be abolished because when Bush created Homeland Security in the early 2000s, in the aftermath of 9/11. They were like, oh, it was supposed to be, we'll only use Homeland Security to protect, against terrorists. No, it's used against um, American citizens. They get involved in local drug arrests. They get their nose and their thumbs involved in every pie across this country of local business. They jab their thumb into the pie, and they've got to rationalize their $51 billion in expenditures. I mean, hell, Homeland Security, they have like their own Black Hawk fleet of helicopters. They got their own private, not private, but their own Air Force. They're almost like a fifth branch of the military. They're like a paramilitary force. And it's creepy. It's really, really creepy, and they do not act on best behalf of people. And I remember when I lived in Pensacola, I had a friend who she was doing an internship at a law firm, or she was working at a law firm, and the law firm that she worked at was right up down the hall from Homeland Security office in Pensacola. And it looked like something out of like Half-Life 2. They had this like sophisticated locking mechanism on the door, and the Homeland Security agents, they were all uber paranoid. I walked past their office because I was going up to the stairs. I had no choice but to walk past the Homeland Security office to go visit my friend at the law firm, because she was helping me draft a will, and I had paid her for her services, and she was doing me a favor. She'd been an actress in one of my movies, and I had a Homeland Security agent just interrogate me. What are you doing walking past the office? And I'm like, I'm going to the law firm right down the office. I mean, Jesus Christ. Yeah, they were just very authoritarian, very paranoid. They spent a lot of money. I mean, they had a very sophisticated locking mechanism on the door. It looked like something out of science fiction. It was just unbelievable the amount of money we waste in this country. We do not have our priorities set straight. $51 billion. We need to defund Homeland Security. We need to defund the police, and you could provide housing for homeless people, but that would lower the rental market value, because you have all these billionaires that are gobbling up all the rental properties because they view them as investment properties. They get a mortgage income tax deduction. They buy condemned rent controlled properties. They tear them down, and then they build in place of a rent controlled property luxury apartment. So now they're mortgaging it for 10 times more than what they paid for it. So that's how the billionaires make money off the front end. And then they take the same rental property and then they write it off their income tax. So now it becomes a tax shelter for their billions of dollars. And then that's why they invest in multiple rental properties. And it's really, really sick, because we've generated such greed and corruption in the United States that you have billionaires that are making a profit off of empty luxury apartments and denying housing to average Americans. I mean, that's the reason why homelessness is already a big problem, and it's gonna be worse. If you have 40% to 50% of Americans become homeless, I don't know what it's going to look like. It could lead to severe civil unrest. It could end up destroying this country. So I'm not looking forward to it at all. But, that is the mess that we live in. But anyway, I got to wrap this up. Do you have any final words, Daniel?
Oh yeah. Also listen. If you check Skype, I think I gave you a few things. It's about Thor 4. Yeah, ever read the
Well, they're doing a fourth Thor movie. I did not know that. Well, we'll talk more about that in the next episode. Do you want to be on the next episode?
Oh, definitely, yeah. So much to say about the new stuff.
All right,
Phase
I gotta wrap this up, because I'm trying to keep this down to a half hour, because I don't want people to get, too overwhelmed and too long. I'm trying to build up an audience. So anyway, thank you very much, Daniel. This is Steampunk Starraisin, your host of The World is a Mess, and I just want to steampunk it. You have a nice day, and I will see you 25 billion years. I will.
See ya. Bye.
Yeah. Let's see. All right. Thanks, Daniel.
Have you read comic books like Rune King Thor? This is like a parallel future where he's like
I,
king of Asgard in the
I
future.
haven't. I haven't. I haven't read that.
Well, I mean, apparently they say Thor 4 is gonna have time travel in there. It's gonna have
What?
time travel in there. Like Phase 4 is gonna have a lot of multiverse stuff in there. It's all about the multiverse.
Well, it could be cool. Just want a good
Yeah.
story.
Wait. Yeah. One second.
All right. All right. I'll talk to you later. All right. Bye.
Bye.